I've had women say this, I've said this, like to another woman, like, well, I can't work with her because I try to tell her how it is, but she just won't take in the truth. She just can't handle the truth. She's like emotional and like weak and like, so if I tell her how it is, she gets all upset, so I just can't work with her. Have you ever done that? I've done that. I see some faces looking down at the table like, I've kind of done that, yep. That's the point of tonight. I want us to look at ourselves and kind of look at that. Me factor has to be the center of attention, the shiny thing that will outshine the quiet one. I work really hard. I like to think I'm better. Maybe I'm not good at, but I'm better at being aware enough to see the quiet woman in the back of the room that's not engaged with everybody else and reach out to her. Because while the glitters isn't gold necessarily. The other thing that they say is mean girls hurt. And a lot of it is their own defensiveness. And I think when you look at a really mean woman at work, it really does stem from her own pain. When she lashes out at you, or she rejects you, or she rebukes you, it's really out of her own pain. You're an occasion, you're a situation that brought that up in her. Many years ago, I wanted to be on this project, and I invented the project, and I raised my hand and said, hey, can I do this? And the vice president was a female, and she said, absolutely. And when I got to the call with the director, she started like freaking out, and she goes, I don't even know why you're on this project. She literally said that on the call. She goes, I don't even know why you're here. That's a call at best. You don't need to be taking that trip and going there. And she put me in my place. Hard. And my first thought was like, I got to get out of this situation because down the line, she's going to have it in for me. And she is a director. And I don't want to mess with it. Frankly, I just don't want to mess with it. But what I really saw was it's important to her. And at the end of the day, when I looked at her as an individual, this is a woman that her whole life is work. There's no kids. She's not married. She's got 5 dogs, but that doesn't really count. Like, this is her playground. And so when I was like, hey, I want to do this, she was absolutely like, you're in my territory and I'm not having it. Like, you're okay if you go sit at that little desk and do that. I'm not having you here. And if you keep pushing on this project, this initiative, I'm going to take you out. I'm just going to sit. I'm going to wait. Might be a year, might be 2. I'm going to take you out. And I'm like, ooh. So think about that. You ever been on the other end of that with a mean woman? In that, if you ever get in a position of power, remember how that feels. Because when you get there, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. When I led teams, I promised myself one thing. You know that feeling when your stomach hurts really bad, you have a one-on-one, and you're all anxious about your one-on-one with your boss, and you got to go in there, and your stomach's all nuts. I remember that so well that when I led teams, I promised I would never make any of my direct reports feel like that ever. That I never wanted them to be anxious about talking with me, ever, because I know how it feels. So if you ever get lucky enough to be in a position of power as a woman, don't ever do that to her. Mean girls also project energy onto another to get rid of it. So a lot of times, like the nasty and the hate, they just like throw it up on you because then they can get some relief. That often happens. Sometimes on a bad day, sometimes that's just how they operate. They're often very insecure. They'll attack other women if they perceive a threat, like I told you about the director. The big one down the bottom, I did that. I don't like standing here admitting it. It's not my finest moment. It is not who I am today. I thought if I gathered with a bunch of women, that was actually a point of weakness, and anything that had a gathering of women, I found to be emotional instead of supportive, and I didn't want anything to do with that, because sometimes I was treated badly. And I also didn't want to be vulnerable to that. Because I thought, well, if it's nice today, it's probably not going to be down the line. So I would say no to sisterhood. I would just not a joiner. Really not a joiner. And think about that. I thought it's easier for me to go it alone. I think there's a lot of women in payments too. We're like doers. Like we're just going to take on more work and more work and more work. And if we don't join with each other, I can see it on your faces. This is so amazing to me. And that was my biggest error in my career. I mean, my biggest blunder in my career was that once I let that stuff go, man, it all opened up for me. But it takes being vulnerable. And it takes trust. It takes trusting another woman, frankly. But I mean, look, I can't even believe I'm here. Like, to me, this is my sisterhood. Like this blows me away. Like, to even write that on a slide and be before you and be like, that was me, not my finest moment, not proud of it, but I'm here to own it, and I don't do that anymore. And then to be here with this, it's like overwhelming to me. Like, this is my sisterhood. This is the place. If I fall out of a job, this is where I'm going. If I need a new client, this is where I'm going. You have a bad day, I pick up the phone call. You came up to me tonight. You said, I spoke to you a year and a half ago. I don't know if you remember me. You took my phone call. You talked to me on a Saturday. I remember you, Elizabeth. Thank you. I want to be in that sisterhood, truly.